everyone, thanks for coming to my channel. Today's video is going to be slightly different than the things I normally post, but it's a video I'm really excited about. Tomorrow is my 30th birthday, so today is officially my last day of my 20s. When I started thinking about turning 30, it really made me stop and think, where am I in life? My initial reaction when I thought I'm turning 30 is, wow, this is not where I thought I would be by now. I'm not as accomplished as I hoped I'd be, as financially stable as I'd hoped I'd be. I'm not in the best physical shape. But then I decided I was going to make a list. I was going to write down 30 things that I had done or learned before turning 30. And I thought I was gonna have a really hard time coming up with 30 things because truthfully, I've been kind of harsh with myself. I've been feeling like I don't really know what I'm doing in the grand scheme of things. When I sat down and wrote these things that I had learned or figured out by now, I felt like, well, maybe I'm not a total lost cause. I do have 30 years of lived life here. That's not nothing. I'm really grateful for those experiences. So this was really good for me, and I highly recommend that you do it. I kind of wish I had been doing this all along. Even if you're not turning 30, I think this would be a good thing to do. And 30 is a big one, a new decade. You know, I've heard that your 20s are for figuring things out and your 30s are for enjoying it. And I think I'm still figuring things out as I head into 30, but I do hope that I'll be able to just really enjoy it. Like, getting older doesn't necessarily scare me. I feel like I'm ready to be 30. So the bottom line is I'm excited. Tomorrow's my birthday. Let's go over them. 30 things I learned before 30. Number one, it is possible to start over again completely on your own. It's important to do that. It's important to learn to be alone and to be okay being alone and to be able to be successful. And I'm not saying that that's better than doing it with other people, because that's not how I feel. I actually have found through my experiences alone that I enjoy having someone to share it with. But I don't think I would be the person I am now if I didn't take big steps in my life by myself. For me, the big step was moving to Thailand. I quit my job, moved across the world to teach English, and I lived in this really small town where nobody spoke English except for one other woman. Yeah, I didn't know anybody and I didn't speak the language in the beginning. I really thrived there. I got so healthy. I trained for a marathon. I made a bunch of friends, and then I ended up meeting my husband while I was there. I traveled to Laos, to Myanmar, to Singapore, to Vietnam. I look back on that and I almost don't even recognize myself because I haven't been that adventurous since, but it truly changed the course of my life. When I was there, I wanted to go to Vietnam, but I didn't have anyone to go with me. So I went by myself. I remember one night I wanted to go eat, and so I found a restaurant and I walked there, and it was completely foggy out. I couldn't even see my hand in front of my eyes, but I made my way to this restaurant, and I'm gonna like cry thinking about it. I made my way to this restaurant and I like had dinner by myself, and I was reading a book, and I went back to the hotel. The next day I went for this hike, and I ended up like climbing up on this crazy rock. And again, it was so foggy, I couldn't even see my hand. It was actually pretty dangerous in hindsight. But I just remember like feeling like I was on the top of the world, and yeah, I was completely alone, and it was so awesome to just like be in this place that I knew no one else in my life would ever be, in the same exact place on top of that rock. It was really an amazing moment. And then the next day I did like a homestay with one of the tribes that live in Sapa, I think it's pronounced Sapa. There was like a bunch of us, and I remember there was a couple of people sitting at a table together, and I was like, I need to introduce myself, and I was so shy and so embarrassed, and I went up to them and I was friendly. I ended up having a great 24 hours with those people, and I don't talk to them anymore. We're like friends on Facebook, but it was just so fun. Like, we got to know each other, we stayed up late playing games, and I remember thinking when I was there, one of the first days I was there, that I wish I had someone with me to like turn to and say, isn't this beautiful? But now looking back on it, I didn't need that. it would have been nice. It would have been fun to share such a beautiful place with someone, and maybe one day I'll go back there with my husband and I'll share it with him. It was so valuable, and even though I lived in Thailand, I never really felt alone there because I had a whole life there. So actually going to Vietnam was definitely that alone time, and I just think it's really important to have experiences like that. I'm not saying you need to be a loner, you need to be an introvert, you need to be the most successful by yourself, because that's not how I feel. I just think that was such a rewarding experience, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life. So that was a long number 1, and I'm like already tearing up, but let's move on. Hopefully they won't all be that intense. Number 2, journaling is free therapy. Sometimes when I'm really upset and like my mind is racing and I can't even think clearly, if I just go and write down what I'm thinking in my journal, when I stand up at the end of it, I'm not mad anymore. I'm not sad anymore. I got those negative thoughts out. Number 3, experiences and time with loved ones are more valuable than things. It's hard for me to remember this because when I go shopping, I'm like, I need that, I want that, that will look great in my house, I need that shirt. And then I'm sitting here, right, in my living room, and I'm looking around me this morning, and nothing in here makes me that excited. Things are nice, they're fun to look at, but I don't feel passion for my couch. I don't feel passion for my desk or my MacBook, for my fireplace, or for picture frames. Like, the things that I feel passionate about are the memories I have. For me, that's just really good to remember when you're thinking of spending money on impulse buys, to think, what could I use this money on instead? Number 4, your body is capable of incredibly challenging things, and oftentimes your mind is what's stopping you. And obviously this is not applicable to everyone. There are people who have physical limitations, but for me, I've done 3 really physically challenging things in my life, and each time I've thought, wow, my body is so awesome. I didn't really think about it until way later, but I broke my hip in college when I was playing rugby. And it was unfortunate. It was right at the end of my senior year of college, so I was on crutches for graduation. My trip my mom took me on after I graduated, which was a cruise, I was on crutches. It was just a big bummer. But after 10 weeks on crutches, I did physical therapy and strength training, and I ended up going back and playing rugby. And the second thing was running a marathon. I ran the Chicago Marathon in 2015, and I remember so vividly, I crossed the finish line and I went over to this grassy area, and I was sitting there and waiting for my friend Lauren to finish. I called my mom and I was like, I feel awesome. Like, I can do anything. I just ran 26 miles. I worked really hard training for it, and just crossing that finish line, it felt like such an awesome human accomplishment that I would have never dreamt of for myself because I hated running. So that's amazing. And the third one is giving birth to my son. It really hurt. It hurt way more than breaking my hip. It hurts a lot. And the hurt does not stop once the baby comes out. It hurts afterwards too. Similar to running a marathon. Like, it was such this euphoric feeling to push your body to limits you did not even know you could get past. Number 5, I learned that some days suck. Some days just suck. And it is okay to be grumpy. Toxic positivity is a real thing, and I think we've all kind of learned that during 2020. Sometimes I'm in a sad mood and I think, am I really sad? Or am I sad because I'm sitting here listening to true crime podcasts? If I turn on a happy song and I dance around my living room and I still feel crappy, then I let myself feel crappy. And sometimes I tell my husband, I'm having a bad day and I don't know why, and I can't pinpoint a reason. I'm just having a bad day. I think I learned this recently from my son's baby book, Grumpy Monkey. When I read it to my son, I was like, wow, that's groundbreaking. It's okay to be grumpy. You don't need to be in a good mood all the time. Oh my God, this is gonna take forever. I'm gonna try to go through them faster. Number 6, simple. You don't have to finish a book if you don't like it. I was in a book club with my friends, and my one friend chose to have us read Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. It's by Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think I could read a book in a different language and understand it more than that book. And so I stopped reading it. The chances of me actually liking every book I pick up there are no chances. So I don't know why it took me so long to realize that. Number 7, drinking water is the most important thing I can do for my health. If I have a headache, a stomach ache, if I'm in a bad mood, if I'm feeling tired, most of those things are because I'm dehydrated. Number 8 and 9 kind of go together. Number 8 is learn enough about your country, your country's history, abuse of minority groups, politics. Learn enough about those things to have an opinion. Ignorance is not cute. If you feel strongly about something, whatever way you lean, you should be able to defend it. Because just saying, I feel this way, and that's that, no reason, I just feel this way, that's not gonna stand. And number 9 goes along with that. At the same time, you're not gonna change someone's opinion on politics, religion, social rights issues in one conversation. And honestly, you may never change it, and it's not really your job to determine my opinion is right and I'm going to change you to think the same way I am. People are coming from years and years and years of biases. So many biases are learned from the day we're born, growing up in whatever family situation we grew up in. And it's not your job to try and convert everyone to your way of thinking. Like I said in number 8, have your opinions, stand up for something, but just know, number 9, that you're not going to get everyone to agree with you. And there are times when it's fine to debate these things, fine to stand up for your opinions, and there are times when you should just shut up. Number 10, find exercise that you love. It's not easy. I love HIIT workouts and I love cardio. If you've been to my channel before, you probably know that I've been doing Chloe Ting workouts, and I love them. I am such a big advocate for Chloe Ting. She's awesome. Go subscribe to her, do her workouts. They're free, they're great, they're awesome. And I know for me, cardio is what gets me feeling good. Cardio is what I get the highest rush from when I'm done exercising. So whether it's jump rope, jogging, going for a walk, doing a HIIT workout, dancing, like those are the things that give me the greatest burn and make me the happiest. You know the phrase, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That's kind of how I feel about exercise. Like if you find an exercise you love, you'll never dread a workout. Although that's not really true. Like you're always gonna have off days where you try to work out, but if you are exercising in a way that you don't find any enjoyment from and you don't get that huge endorphin rush at the end, why would you want to keep doing that? Number 11, missing someone is not a reason to contact them. 30 Things I Learned implies that I know this for sure to be true and I practice it, and that's not really true. Sometimes it's nice to just have a memory with someone and relive it. And sometimes it's opening a box that should stay closed. And I think it's important to be realistic and make those distinctions with different relationships in your life. Obviously, this is so much easier said than done, but I just think it's so important to step back, take a moment to ask yourself, what do I want to come from contacting this person again? Will it make me happier, or will it just cause more pain that I've already moved past? Number 12, you have to advocate for yourself at work. This is a little different for everyone based on your employment situation. Right now, I'm not employed. And I swear me advocating for myself was not part of that. In my last job, I often felt very taken advantage of. The amount of imaginary confrontations I had in my head is astounding. Like I could have had a 10-season TV show of just me pretending to talk to people I worked with. In a lot of cases, you are just a body. As soon as you hear the words like, we're a family here, run. Businesses and companies most of the time are looking out for themselves. At my last job, I worked a lot of overtime, and it wasn't just me, it was several people in the company. And we were all told that we did not get overtime because we were salaried employees. I did a little research by myself, like I'm talking a very quick, easy Google search, and found out that I actually was entitled to overtime pay. If I had not advocated for myself, nobody would have ever looked into this. Nobody would have ever checked because they don't care. So I advocated for myself and I ended up getting a huge paycheck. 13. Every single thing that I have learned to think about, the way I look, my appearance, my body, has come from society. I only recently allowed myself to start forming my own individual thoughts and opinions about my own body. I had to realize what weight, size, what haircut, what hair color, makeup look, what kind of fashion I liked. I didn't even know what I enjoyed looking like or what I wanted to look like because I was being so heavily influenced by the media and culture in my ear. And I've come to realize that, if I could snap my fingers and have my ideal body and my ideal appearance, it would not even be close to what I had thought my entire childhood is what I wanted. You have to seek out your own best version of yourself. Number 14 and 15 are another duo. So 14 is to have faith in humanity. Go out of your way to find good, positive news stories. If you only read the breaking news alerts on your phone, if you only scroll through the CNN homepage, you're mostly just going to see negative things. Things that make you mad, make you scared, make you upset. It's important to find good in the day-to-day. And there's one Instagram account I follow. The page on Instagram, it's called So You Want to Talk About. I'll link it down below, but they post like in-depth information about issues. I think once a week they post So You Want to Talk About good news, and they do like a little roundup of good things that happened that week, positive things from around the world. But 15 goes with that. And 15 is, while you are trusting that there is goodness in the world, be cognizant. There's a lot of people who just want to hurt others. There's good reason to not trust people's intentions. You also need to be realistic. Like, maybe you shouldn't go running at night without pepper spray. Even though it's not your fault, you should be able to do that. You can't, because there are bad people in the world. Maybe you have to be hyper aware when you go to music festivals or shopping malls or movie theaters, and that's just the reality of the world we live in now. For me, it's been tough. I'm guilty of being really paranoid in certain situations. So yeah, it's just a delicate balance between 14 and 15. Like, have faith in humanity, but also like watch your own back. We're on to the third page. Number 16. Do not say I'm sorry, but. Anything that comes after the word but totally negates everything you said before but. You don't always need to say your side of things. It's important to be able to recognize your own faults and just to be able to apologize. Don't say, I'm sorry, but you did that first. I'm sorry that I made you feel that way, but just say I'm sorry if you're sorry. And if you're not sorry, think about why you're not sorry, and if you should be sorry, and try to get to sorry if you are sorry. Okay? 17, no one is a mind reader. Yes, it's important for the people in your life to know you, to understand you at a level where they can do things for you without you needing to explicitly tell them. But also, when you have crazy high expectations for people, that kind of goes hand in hand with expecting them to read your mind. So many times I get mad at a friend or family member or even my husband for not doing something that I was expecting them to do but never asked them to do. What are the chances this thing I want to happen is going to happen if I don't explicitly say that I want it to happen? And there are definitely a lot of situations where everything could just be easier for everyone involved if you speak your mind. 18, learn to cook a handful of dishes. that aren't disgusting. I hate cooking. I'm not good at it. I constantly find recipes, go out and spend $100 on ingredients, get home, make it, hate the whole experience of making it, and it tastes bad. So instead, my husband does most of the cooking, and I have probably 5 things that I can make that taste good, that he likes, that I like, that the baby will like when he's older. 19. Sometimes it is more helpful to listen than to give advice. I am really guilty of inserting my opinion and giving advice just out of feeling uncomfortable, like I don't know what to say, so I need to tell them something. And sometimes when I do that, I get frustrated when they don't follow my advice, and then I have to step back and think, did they ever want my advice, or did they just want to vent? Because a lot of times I just want to talk out loud. I just want to get my problem off my chest, and I don't even want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to think logically. I don't want to hear an outsider's opinion. Sometimes I just want to vent and complain. You know, not everyone is ready to accept help, even if your help is amazing. Sometimes people just want to talk. Number 20, simple. Vegetables make me feel good. I have a really long history of binge eating and really restrictive diets and a really negative relationship with food in general. And I definitely have like trigger foods, and I definitely have like difficult relationships with different kinds of food. But one thing I know to be true is that when I eat more vegetables, I feel great. That is really the best thing I can do for my body. When I eat a lot of processed stuff, I feel it. My stomach feels horrible. My skin looks horrible. I feel tired. I'm in a bad mood. Like, the food you eat affects your mood. It affects your energy. It affects your skin. It affects a lot of things. I don't always abide by this. Like, I eat junk food. Hello. But I know that vegetables make me feel good. 21, consider your childhood scars and how they can affect your present. Some people have really traumatic childhoods. Some people need their entire lives to work through their childhood scars. For me, I don't think I have that many. I mean, there are definitely issues, but the big one that I think of for myself is my issues around dieting and weight and food. I went on my first diet when I was 12 years old, and I truly believe that I've had a negative relationship with food and my body and exercise since then. When I got pregnant, I really took the time to look back on my childhood, what was happening around me that made me start hating myself and hating the way I looked. What kind of language did I learn to use towards myself, and to actively work to overcome that, because I don't want to pass those issues onto my son or to any future kids we have. Hi again. I recognize that things probably look a little bit different. I went and got my nails done and am back now to finish the video. Also, my baby is awake, so he may be joining us or making a lot of noise at some point. All right, I think I left off at number 22. Number 22 is, consider that many bullies have been bullied. And I'm not trying to excuse the behavior of bullies. Bullying and doing hurtful things to people is never okay. But recently I've started thinking about this because I am by no means a big YouTuber. In fact, I am one of the smallest YouTubers. But even I, on my very small platform, have gotten mean and bizarre and hateful comments, criticizing my weight, criticizing the way I speak. This is really the first time since like middle school that I've gotten comments like that, because much of my other social media is people who I really know. And the first time I got one of those comments, I was like, whoa. But then I forced myself to just read the comment and to step back and think, who does this? Who watches something and feels such disdain or hatred or repulsion in their heart and feels the need to like put that onto someone else? It got me thinking that the people who do these things and say these hurtful things, they learned that somewhere, right? someone in their life taught them to behave that way or to speak that way. And that's sad. And that's what I mean by bullies have been bullied. You don't grow up in a loving environment with people teaching you empathy and kindness and then go on the internet and behave that way. Like I said, I'm not excusing it. There are people who experience horrific treatment when they're younger and they don't go on to repeat those same behaviors. But it's helpful for me to consider, because it takes the sting out of those comments if I consider the fact that maybe this person has to exist every day with like pain or hurt or hatred in their heart, and I do not. I just think that's helpful, and I know that's really impossible to think about when you're younger. Like 12-year-old me getting bullied was not able to think about the fact that the people being cruel to me had someone else being cruel to them. I think that would have eased the pain, but now as an adult, it just really helps me not take things so seriously. Number 23, not every relationship will carry on through each phase of your life. There are relationships, there are situationships, and there is everything in between. I have had friends throughout my childhood years, throughout college, who I thought were diehard. I would be friends with them forever. We would like grow old together. And now I don't even talk to those people. Sometimes it just fades naturally, and sometimes it's more of a painful separation. Sometimes it can be really hard to say goodbye, and even if you're not like verbally establishing with someone that your relationship is ending, you do still have to take that time to like mourn that loss, whether this is romantic or a family or a friend. Everyone is on their own path. Very rarely are you building a path and a life together with someone. Everyone has their own stuff going on, and so it is impossible that as you enter different phases in your life, whether that's school or a romantic relationship, marriage, children, working, moving, as you enter these different phases and you hit these milestones in life, your friends, your family, they may not agree with them, they may not understand them, they may not be there themselves, and it's just impossible that you are going to stick with everyone in your life. 24 is to stop letting embarrassing moments fester in my mind. I'm not saying completely forget all of them. That's impossible. I have so many embarrassing moments that are now funny stories. For example, in high school, I was waiting outside for my brother to pick me up. I thought it was him. I got into the car, put on my seatbelt, and turned to the driver's side, and it was not my brother. It was horrific. I got out of the car, and the kid whose brother it actually was laughing, and I cried. I called my mom. It was humiliating, but now it's a funny story. So when I say don't let embarrassing moments fester, I mean slipping and falling in the grocery store when the floor is wet, being distracted while driving and not seeing that the light turned green and having someone honk at you. These are small things, but for me, I will honestly sometimes sit there and let these embarrassing moments play over and over and over again in my head, and I won't let myself move past them. And I just feel such profound shame. And I have truly never understood why I do that to myself, because everyone else has moved on from the moment, and yet I am still punishing myself for this like small, silly thing that sometimes I have no control over. What I have found for me that helps is to just replay the moment in my head, let it go. Reliving the moments out loud helps me to just see that it wasn't that big of a deal and to move on. 25 is very much 25 is to unfollow anyone on social media who makes you feel bad about yourself. It took me a very long time to actually start doing this. I think for a very long time I was hate following people. That is the point of social media, that you have the power to choose whose life you want to see and whose viewpoint you want to hear. Obviously, social media is not a good representation of the real world, where you are forced to interact with people who you don't really like all the time. But for me, I found that there were certain people who I was just looking at their content and I just felt like if I'm just following them because I enjoy that drama and I enjoy that rush of getting worked up, that's incredibly unhealthy. 26 is a tough one, and it's something that I'm dealing with, and I'm putting it on this list because I know it to be true, and that is to stop making accommodations for people who would not do the same for you. Stop overextending yourself. I find enjoyment in going above and beyond for people I love, for making them feel special, whether this is on a birthday or a wedding or a baby shower, or just letting them know that I care. And I've always been like that, especially when I got married. Even though my life had changed and I now had this new person as my priority, I really wanted to continue my friendships as they were before. I continued to make a lot of time for my friends and to put them really high up. And then I felt like when it came time for them to do the same back to me, they weren't. Felt like I was always the one making the effort, even when it was putting a strain on my relationship with my husband. My husband would point it out to me. He would be like, do you see that you're always the one reaching out? You're always the one planning things. You're always the one trying to go above and beyond. And then look what you get back. That was really hard for me to hear because I didn't want to hear it. And even though I wasn't getting anything back, I still enjoyed doing these things because I loved these people and I wanted to show them that. And so I'm not saying that you can only do kind things for people when you're getting something back. That's not it at all. But you need to know when you're giving too much. Basically, I was putting in a lot of effort to maintain these friendships and for certain events going above and beyond to let them know, hey, you are still a huge priority in my life. If that's my love language, if that's how I show people I care, and then I'm not getting that back, that can be painful. You need to recognize when you're doing something because you just want to do it and it doesn't matter if you get anything back, and when you're doing something for someone because you're expecting something in return, and how are you going to feel if you don't get that in return. I don't know if any of that was clear. Obviously, I'm still really working through that one. This is something I deal with as I get older and my friendships and my relationships with people change. 27, temporary feelings and actions can have permanent consequences because I am so impulsive. I would say being impulsive is one of the defining pillars of my personality. I just rely on instant gratification. Obviously, being impulsive has led me to many good things in my life, but it has also created damage. And I'm a big believer in the chaos theory. You know, your life, your fate is not predetermined. Every action has a consequence. Every action changes the course of events going forward, and I truly try to remember that before I make any decision. 28 is to just recognize when you're the one being the asshole. If you feel like you are always being wrong, someone is always out to get you, you're wrong. It is impossible that you are a perfect angel and that everyone is doing bad things to you and that you are always the one who deserves an apology. Sometimes you are wrong. Sometimes you are the mean one. You're the asshole. I genuinely believe that at my core, I am a kind person who cares deeply for others, sometimes to a fault. I get grouchy. I get hangry. I get moody. I get hormonal, and I say things that are mean. I do things that are mean. I make mistakes too. And it has been so beneficial to me as a growing person to be able to recognize, hey, that was not a nice thing that I said. And I fight myself on it. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be a jerk. So sometimes I will go so far to try and justify what I did, just so I don't have to feel that guilt. But I think it's really a good quality to have, to be able to look at yourself and to recognize when you're not being great. Number 29, when in doubt, call your mom. And this one is very specific for me. I totally recognize that many people do not have the same relationship with their moms that I have with mine, and I am incredibly fortunate that as I've gotten older, my relationship with my mom has evolved so much into a friendship. And it's just crazy how now my mom is the person I call for everything. It is so special to just have someone that you can call, and for me, that is my mom. I truly believe that she has the answers for so many of life's questions, even if she doesn't know it. And that brings us to number 30. Finally, the 30th thing that I've come to learn before turning 30. It is that you cannot know how things are going to end up. You cannot know what things are going to look like at the finish line. All you can do is be willing to risk it. Like I said, I'm a big believer in the chaos theory, that your actions cause consequences. They change the course of events. That is on a big scale and a small scale. So it's impossible to know how things are going to end up because things are constantly in motion. But are you willing to take chances? Are you willing to take a risk? For me, a big one, I've already mentioned it, was moving to Thailand. I had no idea what would happen when I got there, and things did not go well in the beginning. I thought I was going to be on a plane back home within a week. But I was willing to try it. And sometimes you're going to be wrong. Sometimes it's not going to outweigh the negative. Sometimes you're going to make bad decisions. But the point is that you don't know. It's bad. It could be good. It could be bad. Are you willing to risk it? Are you willing to take that chance? That's it. Those are my 30 things. I almost wish I made one of these when I turned 20 because it would have been so amazing and so interesting to watch back and see, what I had learned by 20, because as a 30-year-old, it's like, what could I have possibly known at 20? That seems like forever ago. 10 years is a long time, but it's not so long that you have to have everything figured out. I do feel a lot older, a lot more mature than I was at 20, but there are still so many parts of my life that are in motion and in flux and are not figured out by any means. That's my ending note. 30 years is a long time, but it's not so long that you need to know exactly who you are and where you want to be by this point. That is going to be it for me, guys. I know this was a long one. I would love it if you left me a comment telling me that one thing you've learned in the past year, whether you're 19, 14, 30, 50, and I will catch up with you guys next time. And thank you for watching. Bye.